Today on Faithfully Fantasy.
What is it about Imogen's core where she needed to wipe memories? Because it's not just interesting thinking about what the signets might be. It's interesting to think about why they want that signet. Is she so traumatized by the death of her mother and sister that she needs to be able to wipe people's bad memories so that they don't go through that level of trauma?
Destiny to Andarna. Is that destiny or Daddy Sorangel did something to make that happen?
There's an amazing theory that Daddy Sorangel found the cure for the venom and had to give it to Lilith Sorangel while she was pregnant, and it involved using the blood of a feather tail.
Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy,
The husband and wife podcast talking all things Iron Flame.
Today we're going to be talking on chapters 9 to 12, and at least from my part, I have already some theories to talk about it. I don't know about you.
No, I don't have any.
Well, what a shame.
So Violet is having venom nightmares and she is running at the crack of dawn with Imogen. Zayden wrote her a letter. Varish is an absolute bellend, but we get our first trip to Samara, casually smuggling out some weapons.
Oh yeah, should we go straight to chapter 9?
Yeah.
Is anything you would like to see or say about it before?
You know me so well.
Yeah.
The epigraph. And in the mountains of the Steel Ridge Range, the green dragons of the Wainloinsig line, known for their keen intellect and rational countenance, offered their ancestral hatching grounds for the good of dragonkind. And the wards of Navarre were woven by the first six at what is now Basgayath War College, United Navarre, a study in survival by Greater Burrell, curator of the Scribe Quadrant.
Yes. The thing I found interesting about it is that we're talking about the green dragons. So you think they're just because they're like the logicals, or the one they understand a little bit more about the current situation or what was happening at that time. They were the ones who come with kind of like given the place so they can build Basgat.
Yeah. So I think the fact that they're rational, it speaks to that rationality, doesn't it?
That's one of the first things that come to my mind. I don't know if the dragons is kind of like a Pokemon. They just like, just because you are from that color, you had to be like that, or it would be like an exception. So it's just like the average. Like, okay, all the green ones are like this, but that it's not like a golden rule that every single one is going to be like that.
Yeah, like orange dragons.
They are unpredictable.
That's the word. So I didn't have much to say about the epigraph, really. So it could have been anywhere, couldn't it? It could have been Tyrrendor, which would be the natural place that I would choose. But Ryerson House has never been breached, and that was built there to protect the ancestral hatching grounds of the black dragons.
Yes.
So I think it was there is a mention somewhere else about green dragons and the level of how much they can channel, so the strength of the magic there. And I think that was part of the decision. But let's see as we get to it.
The beginning of the chapter starts with Violet getting a little sleep, having nightmares, which push him to start doing something in the mornings. I think it's kind of a little bit of, okay, I can't sleep, so better do something productive. And at the same time trying to avoid the friend so she doesn't have to lie, because again she is against lies. She'd rather just say nothing or avoid it if she can do it. So she has a running club with Imogen, and then they start running every single morning.
It's all because of Soleil, isn't it? Because she saw that Soleil couldn't run fast enough. And as the venom was draining the ground, Soleil wasn't fast enough.
Yes.
And I think Violet is very fast. That's something that she is good at. That's a strength from Fourth Wing.
The problem is resistance, that she doesn't last longer on the pace. Yeah.
Yeah, but also like it it just shows how quickly they do drain the land and what a challenge they're facing, because she needs to run that fast for such a long time. So it shows really what they're up against. She talks about Soleil. She says she was on the ground when she killed her, and she is in italics, and I'm not sure why. So you're supposed to emphasize the word she killed her. So who is that? Somebody we're supposed to know?
Interesting. Didn't think about it.
The only thing that jumped out at me was potentially Zayden's mum. He might not recognize her, but I had a feeling she was young, so I'm not sure.
I don't know, because even when there were these rumors that is Sorangel, he could be a Venom, that he could be this kind of stuff. Yeah, but even Rebecca Jarrett say, don't you think that Violet will recognize his own dad, even if it's as a Venom? So I think.
But Zayden's mom left him when he was 10.
Yeah, but he's still like older enough at least to remember her, like the faces.
She might look very different. I know I look different to what I did 10 years ago.
Yeah. After this running, avoiding the friends, they start with the new classes, start with the battle brief.
I just want to say a bit about, like, I love the growing relationship with Imogen. So, I really like the fact that Imogen's still pretending she doesn't really like her and she doesn't want to be her friend, but you can see that she actually does. Imogen's really fast. So what is that? What is it with Imogen's speed? Because she also is wiping memories. And I know everyone says it could be lesser magic because it can it can enhance something that you've got already. Mm-hmm. But I honestly have this theory where the marked ones are bonded to dragons that previously bonded their relatives.
Yeah.
I feel like she links it. She's got the memory wiping, and she says, "And I'm really fast." Is either a second signet, or it's not a signet, and she's trying to detract from the memory wiping one because she doesn't want everyone to know that she can potentially wipe their memories.
Yes.
But I just feel like those dragons, and last week we talked about the different factions of dragons, where you have ones that want to fight the venom, ones that don't want to fight the venom, they just want to protect the veil, and then you have the third ones who think self-preservation, the best way to stay alive is to join the venom. Mm-hmm. I just have a feeling that the ones that want to fight are more likely to bond the marked ones because they know about the rebellion, and perhaps it's because they bonded a relative. So I think we will potentially learn a bit more about a few marked ones who have extra signets. Sloane knows about it. She's the one that explains it later. Yeah. And obviously, as I was starting to think about this, I was starting to think about Imogen and her memory, her other signet, because I do think the speed is a signet, but the memory wiping. And I know there's not part of this chapters, but because I'm thinking of the relationship and the speed, I wanted to think about what it was that Imogen, what is it about Imogen's core where she needed to wipe memories? Because it's not just interesting thinking about what the signets might be. It's interesting to think about why they want that signet or why they need that signet. And I actually got into a spiral of sadness and devastation when I was thinking about Imogen. Mm-hmm. Is she so traumatized by the death of her mother and sister, because we hear about that under the tree, that she needs to be able to wipe people's bad memories so that they don't go through that level of trauma? It's so sad because I genuinely believe Imogen's a good person. She's got an orange dragon, so she might be unpredictable, but I genuinely think she's got a big heart, and I swear to God nothing phases her. And that often, it's not always the case because people deal with trauma differently. Mm-hmm. But when people have really big things happen in their life, they have a lot of perspective, and nothing phases Imogen because she's been through quite a lot. She had to witness the execution of her mother and sister, and that is really, really traumatic. Yeah. So is that why she needs to be able to take away people's bad memories, or it's just really sad?
Yeah, it could be different things because could be that she wants wipe the specific memories that people have, so she can maybe wipe the bad memories like she had. Could be as well because when she was Mark 1, everyone was treated so bad that she would like to just like, I wish I can just wipe everyone's memory so they forget about this relic or that was like part of that. It could be something like this.
Maybe. Or like a job that she needs to do and she has to be undetected, like when we believe.
Yeah, or like, for example, if I would have something like that, I could maybe save my parents or somebody that comes to attack my family. I can just wipe and say, these are not the people that you're looking for.
Yeah, that's super handy.
Yeah.
As well, just before we move to the classes, Bodhi is with Rhiannon and Sawyer for the leadership meeting. We get a reference here. His walk is so similar to Xaden's stride that I almost do a double take. So even Violet potentially mistakes it. She's like, wait, is that Xaden?
Mm-hmm.
They're walking the same. Isn't that strange? Because you don't walk the same as someone else because of genetics. You walk the same as someone else maybe because, I don't know, what is that about? And so it comes back to this theory that either he's his brother, but I don't even know if I walk the same as my sister. We need to do an experiment. Or they'll get mixed up at some point. And I'm leaning on this particular clue. I'm leaning to the fact that they'll get mixed up. Because if even Violet is getting confused, she has to do a double take to check it's not Xaden. Is he going to be mistaken for Xaden at some point and possibly executed? This is another thing. Somebody today on Instagram said we only have bad theories about people. We need to think of some people that are going to survive. But is Bodhi going to be mistaken for Xaden?
That was like one of the first things that I was thinking at the beginning. I think was when I just read Fourth Wind before Iron Flame. So I was thinking, maybe Bodhi, because there's so many references about how similar he is to Xaden. Yeah, what is going to happen is somebody's going to try to kill Xaden, and then it's going to confuse it with Bodhi, and then Bodhi is the one who's going to die. But then, when I started reading a little bit more Iron Flame, I started to see Bodhi's signet and more stuff about him. I start to see the Bodhi is more kind of like always the second one behind Xaden. He is the one who's in the shadows of Xaden. So for me, that's kind of like building a character. They're just keeping all these things that he's like this, always the second one stand behind.
Wants to prove himself.
Yes, and then it will come the time that maybe he will say, I'm better than Xaden, or Xaden doesn't deserve it, I deserve it. That's why I'm thinking that if I comes to the point that maybe he is another son of Fen Ryerson that nobody knew, and then if he's hungry with power, then he needs to get rid of Xaden to claim everything that Xaden has. So in the end, it's power as well, power and recognition. And for me, is now that all these things related to Xaden, because even the description is very similar to Xaden, but softer. So it's kind of like a soft version of Xaden, or a second version of Xaden, a copy, but not a good one, not the original one. It's kind of like the feeling they're trying to get you.
Yeah, it's a really popular theory in the fandom that Bodhi is potentially sus.
For me, it's the signet, because that signet is just making the perfect rival to defeat Xaden.
Yeah, it's a good point. Why does he need to defeat riders? Was it because of his part in the revolution, and he needs to defeat the riders that are fighting against, that are desperately trying to protect Navarre only, like Melgren. Interesting how he's got double protection against Melgren, hasn't he? Because he's got his rebellion relic, and he's also got his ability to counter signets. But the reason that I've seen, or some of the receipts for this theory about Bodhi, is, I don't know whose theory it is. I've seen it just spoken about quite a lot. But some of the key things about the evidence is that, one, he's perpetually a step behind. The other one is that Xaden doesn't trust Bodhi when Vi has his jacket on and she flies to Samara to check he's okay when she hears that he's been injured, he's still it doesn't really calm him down when he finds out that it's Bodhi's.
Yes.
And that's insecurity from his part. But also, if you think about Bodhi's signet, he can counter Xaden's... So it's not just the countering the shadows. I presume he can counter that with light. But he can also counter the intrinsic ability, presumably. And the question is, does Xaden not trust him because he knows that he can't read him? He must trust him because he gives him jobs to do as part of the rebellion, but he doesn't really know his true intentions, does he? Or at least we know that Bodhi could potentially hide his true intentions from Xaden. And the real big question is, does Bodhi know that Xaden is intrinsic? Because it all depends how Bodhi's signet works.
Yeah, how react with other signets around.
Yeah, so we only see him use it against Carr, don't we? Carr is a fire wielder, and he puts out the fire.
Yeah.
But does Bodhi know that...
There's fires.
Yeah, so does he know when Xaden was trying to read his intentions for the first time?
Mm-hmm.
And did he counter it? So that was the big question. Does Bodhi know?
Yeah.
And why does he need to protect him? Why does he need to hide his true...
I mean, that would be a really good twist. He all the time he knew that Xaden was intensive, and then because he knew, he was just maybe playing all alone to trust me enough to keep me closer, and he keep doing his plan.
I don't want Bodhi to be bad. I like him. How do we feel about Rhee's jealousy of Imogen?
I can understand that because you see the Violet's like putting distance between them, and then she is going more with the marked ones, and doesn't even know why. She feels that she did something bad, so she feels like she should be guilty about something. And even she asked to Violet, it's because I didn't make you my
executive officer.
Yes, but yeah, I can see the reason, because it's out of the blue from the point of view of Rhee.
Yeah, I think so. Though I do think there's some, like we probably have all felt like that at some time in our life when we have a really close friend and all of a sudden they become close with somebody else, and it's not actually something that you've done or not done. It's just a life change situation. So I think we can probably all relate a little bit to that. There's just a few times where it shows that Rhee just isn't aware of how big this thing is, and it's not her fault. She just doesn't know. She's believing the propaganda, isn't she?
Well, Violet was exactly the same 6 months ago before everything started.
Yeah, there's this though, and then later on, I think in one of the other chapters we'll cover, I just want to group it with this one and not cover it when it actually happens. But when she doesn't get the letter from Xaden, and she said, you're fighting or something, and she said he wasn't honest with me, and Rhee jumps to the conclusion that it was another woman, and it just kind of shows that she's living in this bubble where that wouldn't be a small thing if it was another woman, but you know what I mean, it's not war, so she's just in this bubble of Basgaiath, and she has no idea how big this thing is, and she's just being like, it seems like she might be being a bit petty with the jealousy, which we can relate to, and being petty with assuming it's another woman, just a bit kind of naive, and it's not her fault. But
I think what we can see is that something's going on with Violet. Maybe the thing that for her hurts the most that Violet is not telling her. And she's like trying to show her that she can be there for her, that whatever it is, she can deal with that. But then Violet knows that she can't say anything because then she would put her at risk as well. Yeah.
Okay, classes.
Yes. So, Professor De Vera walks down with a fresh wound in her biceps, I think it is. And Rhee is the one who said that she spent last week in the southern wing. And then Violet wondered if she saw anything over there. And I think she did, because definitely that was like one of the reasons when everything in Basgaia started to fall to pieces. We say them basically recruiting everyone who wants to live, follow me. She was one of the first ones to go because she started to see, okay.
In fact, she said she's been waiting.
Yes, exactly.
I think this was the trigger for her to print all those leaflets off.
Yes.
And start to... Oh, I think at least now she knows, so the clock is ticking. And she's like maybe waiting for leadership to say something, because she doesn't know how... She maybe doesn't know how long this has been going on for. But I totally agree with you. I think that on the reread, that hits differently, doesn't it? Because you know that she knows.
Yes. That she started to see there's something going on, but she just maybe start to see the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Morgan started the class informing about the 2 attacks to the village of Sapini or Sipini.
I don't know.
If anyone knows how to pronounce it, let us know.
Saipen, Supini.
Yeah, it's like Italian, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's been an attack it's high in the Eastern Mountains, about an hour flying from Montserrat. It's again 8,000 feet completed for the rifles. So Vice maybe she's thinking at this point that she should spend more time reading about what are in those mountains more than anything else.
Yeah. So are the flyers looking for something more than alloy in the Esben Mountains?
Yes.
She says I should have spent last night reading about what's there, which means for me, is there more like dragon eggs, like the raw alloy? What are they looking for?
They're looking for obviously weapons or something to use against the venom. So the only thing since they can go against the venom is their own magic from the dragons. So it has to be something, like you said, maybe related to, I don't know if it's eggshells or something else that can be used as a weapon or as a
or at least be
defense.
Used for with the luminary. I don't know.
Yes. But definitely something that I think will come back later on. That we'll see what was the reason.
Yeah. Right. What the fuck is happening in the caves?
Yeah, that too as well. They found one of the flyers hidden in the cave.
Yeah.
And it's another reason, another reference about people in the caves.
Yeah. Brennan hid out in the caves. Solus was there in the caves. Are the flyers looking for something? Will we find more out about these caves in Onyx Storm?
Is it something related to the venom? Because, I mean, Brennan, so like, they're just venom related. And then this flyer that was there, what was the reason? What, looking for something?
We don't know that Brennan is venom related. We just suspect.
Yes, but
I don't think he's venom
that was
anymore.
exactly.
I think he was, but I think he was cured.
For me, it's the same feeling when I thought from the beginning he can't be.
He's not normal.
There. But that's the only thing that we can say as a fact. Something's going on with Brennan.
Yeah, something's going on. I don't think he's a Brennan. He's definitely Brennan. I don't think he's a venom anymore. I think he was cured. But anyway.
Yes.
So, I'm hoping that we'll find out more about the caves. But I like the fact that this is a bit suspicious. Either what's happening, is it a secret underground network that the Venom are setting something up for, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're like, but I don't know.
Yes. Again, something going on with the caves.
Something going on with the caves. We need a list of all the things where something is going on, but we're not quite sure what it is.
Yeah, it's something that will come back later, probably in Onyx Stone, because definitely Onyx Stone is going to be related to all the Venom world. And because it's going to be related to the Venom world, that's why I guess our theory is...
How do you know that? You're so confident that it's going to be about the...
I mean, Rebecca Yarros said that you will see much more about the Venom in Onyx Storm. And for me, this gave me... I said it a lot of times by now. It's giving me all the vibe of Revenge of the Sith or Star Wars. So this is the third book. Revenge of the Sith was the third movie.
I know, but Xavier is not going to go full Venom. He's not.
he is one leg and the other side, the dark side.
He's gonna go full. He's gonna go full villain, and then he's gonna get pulled back again. It's not gonna be Vader. He's not.
Well, Vader in the end, he turned back to the Force. So he was full Venom for a couple of decades, and then he went back to defend his son.
I need to watch that again because I'm not sure I realised that was what the ending was like.
I mean, that's the end of the original saga with Anakin Skywalker and Luke Skywalker. But with Satan, I think what's going to happen is going to be a signet that will help him to maybe get rid of these venom things. Yeah, I don't know how it's going to be, how it's going to work for the soul. If I just bring back the magic, it will restore your soul, or some of you will be dead.
I think so. I don't think.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So, do you think the enemy knew that the outpost had been emptied for war games and was trying to take advantage of the situation? That's what's said. But then the delay would show a lag in their information. This confused me because I was like, wait, did they not just get the information because they were there and Zayden told them that the outpost had been emptied? But then I was thinking about it, and it kind of maybe shows that Serena is doing something here, that Serena isn't giving the information directly over, because Zayden is helping her by giving her weapons. Yeah. You would assume that the flyers would just know that Aspine was emptied because Zayden told her. Yeah. But actually, for me, I was thinking, why is there such a delay? There was like an 8-day delay or something, and then by the time they got there, the outpost had been repopulated. I don't know, restaffed. But yeah, for me, that kind of shows that Serena is working for Zayden in that respect. That she's trying to delay the information, but obviously the information did get back to them. Or maybe I'm missing something completely. I don't know.
The only thing that I don't remember is how long it took to Colonel Atos to make the outpost empty, because it was, I think, like 200 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you do with him? What did you tell him? Holidays.
Yeah.
Markham says that Ressen was destroyed by Poromish unrest, and that's a lie. And power rises in me so quickly that my skin heats.
Yes. She can't handle lies.
She can't handle lies.
No, which is, again, one of those little hints about
it's not, signet. At this point, for me, it's not a little hint. And I've said this so many times, but if she's not a truthsayer, I don't know, Rebecca Yarros is definitely trolling us, because there are so many hints that she's a truthsayer. Are we being trolled? I don't know. Maybe. Markham gives the answer as well directly, and Devera has a bit of a moan, and then he says, "Oh yes, of course." Blah, blah. I imagine him to speak like that, by the way. So I'm not at my best. So I haven't had much sleep. Blah, blah. Why isn't he sleeping? What's he doing? Is he worried because there's loads of information getting out and he's like too busy working to try and hide it? What's he doing?
Yeah, I think at this point there's a lot of things going on in the background of Asgard, because right after this, Rhea is going to say something to Violet about she thinks there's something's going on. So I don't know if maybe Marhan is involved as well about all the stuff that maybe Nolan is doing or Varish is doing, because has to be maybe a scribe to record any kind of information they are getting.
Welcome is really bad.
I heard some theories as well. There's somebody that thinks that Markham was the one who killed Daddy Sorangel, or the one who made him look like an accident. Which,
do you think he kicked the ladder out from underneath him while he was reaching on the top shelf?
Yeah, and he got a heart attack. It was really scary.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, Markham's bad. Someone else who's bad, Caroline Ashton. She says she would double the patrol for the next few weeks in a show of force. And maybe consider raising a few Poromish border villages just to show them, like, we can hit you where it hurts. Rebecca said she would be like the person most likely to kill someone and cover it up. And it kind of this just shows like she just doesn't care. She like just wants to fight back. And then Dane's like, in retaliation, that's not our way. Read the codex. So not attacking Navarre though does help to fuel the propaganda. They're attacking us. Why are they attacking us? They're crazy. And they have no reason to attack. Obviously, they don't have a reason to attack Poor Emil. Poor Emil are only attacking because they've got nothing to lose. Just one more.
Okay.
Devera says it's courtesy of a flyer with an excellent aim of her bow. And I wonder if that's Serena or Catriona. They have bows.
I will go for Serena, to be honest.
I'd go for Serena as well.
Yes.
But there's probably hundreds of flyers. Just feel like it might be one that we know. Okay. I think I might be done in battle brief.
Okay. So, Bree says to Violet, I think the school is hiding something from us. And Violet's like, she's finding out. Then saying something's going on in the Hiller Quadrant. Nolan looks like shit.
He's not getting any sleep either. Is he having an affair with Markham? Is there a bald
Maybe
night?
that's the reason, yes. Two things they come to my mind at this point, because straight away I think it's Riddoch, the one who say maybe they brought the prisoner from Poromil and Varish is breaking him and Nolan is fixing it or amending it. So it was kind of like a little bit of foreshadowing what's going to happen later on to Violet, because that's exactly what happened to her.
Good spot.
And the other thing could be maybe he's just really busy trying to amend Jack Barlow.
I think he is.
I don't know which one of those two. Could be any of those, but he's working really hard. Maybe because Varys is dead, and because then, and the spare time, he's trying to do something with Jack. Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking about, could we learn from how Nolan is working with Jack and reflect potentially that and just work out what happened with Nayland and Brennan?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's half a thought. So I'll bake it and come back.
Okay. Anything else about this conversation from your part?
No, covered that.
Okay. So after the big thing that happens is the mad time. So Leanne's little sister wants to fight Violet. She has to fight against Eric at the end. But with all this show that she wants to fight Violet, that she was basically like, no, I want Violet Sorangel, I want Violet Sorangel. Then there's this guy who comes as who is Sorangel, and then Nadine trying to help poor Violet. Oh, I see that you're like really popular today. Yeah, Violet, what you want? And snap.
Yeah, bye Nadine.
Yep.
Athos's assassin kills Nadine. From the Jack Barlow School of Assassins. I'm sure Jack Barlow's part of it. Athos is and Varish and all of them are experimenting with venom. Like War College student venom, cadet venom. And that's how they're setting the assassins on. So they think they might be experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it could be true. I like it. I think it's random and thoughtful.
Definitely Athos is doing something with the venom, but I don't know if he is already a venom or he is just doing something, because there's no reference about him kind of like the red ring in the eyes.
I don't think he's a
venom.
venom. I think he's a bad guy, and I think he's experimenting on venom. You know how like drug dealers don't often take drugs?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's like a big boss drug dealer, but he doesn't take the drug himself. So he's not channeling. I don't know what his signet is, and it bugs me. I really want to know. But I think he's really bad, because we know in the interview the other day with Rebecca, she said, who deserves the worst death? And she said Varish or Athos, his dad, not Dane, obviously. Mm-hmm. But that means, like, the fact that she didn't say, like, the big bad venom, she said Athos, Colonel Athos. So he's doing something bad. And I really like the idea that he's got this kind of experiment going on, and he's like using the cadets or turning cadets into Venom, or encouraging them to go Venom.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but I think Jack Barlow is one of them, and that's why they're experimenting. They're seeing whether they can mend them. Well, actually, don't know whether Atos is doing it for bad reasons. He might be doing it to attack, and then Nolan is trying to see if they can be mended, just to see how invincible they are.
Yeah.
I have a few things about this. So Imogen says, like it or not, you're one of us now. Well, as close as you can get.
Yeah.
Without one of these. And it kind of feels a bit like foreshadowing to me. Is she going to get some kind of relic? Or does she have one? Does her hair somehow protect her from something? I don't know. We get more hints, obviously, about Jack. And why was Imogen sending letters to Sloane? So she said, from what your letter said last year, her joints pop right out. How hard can it be?
Yeah.
Why was Imogen sending messages to Sloane? And was that how Sloane put 2 and 2 together, that Violet was the one that... Or Sloane thinks that Violet was responsible for her brother's death. I don't know if she got that from Imogen's letters.
I think from her it will get maybe Lian as well, because I think she got later on all the Lian's letters. So I'm assuming that Lian, he was constantly writing to his little sister. So probably he put in the first time outside the house for me to look after this person.
Oh, maybe, and she just...
And that maybe was the last one, because after that she got like a few from him that not being sent. So maybe he just knew there's a mission that he has to do.
Yeah.
Know that at the end they were friends, and she saved his life before.
Yeah, there's another one, another thing I wanted to say about Bodhi. We see Bodhi an awful lot in these chapters. He's like taken over the role of Xaden, hasn't he? Obviously, as lead.
Yes.
Leader of the rebellion at Basgaya, as far as we're aware. He says, I have strict instructions to keep you as far away from helping as possible. And I feel like this is a bit of an annoying oversight of Xaden, and this is really the start of where Xaden goes a bit off in this book. I don't mean he goes a bit off. He goes a bit Dane and protective.
Yeah.
He knows her. He should know her by now, Violet, and he should know that she would need to be doing something other than Tirish knots, books. Like practicing knots, which she doesn't know are runes. If he could give us some hint that is going to help her do runes, why couldn't he tell her that? That is not going to get them into trouble. Well, it would, but you know what I mean. So what does he think she's going to do? Just sit there and wait for him? It's a bit of an annoying oversight from Xaden, and I love Xaden as much as everyone else, but what did he expect to happen?
I think he was expecting more that she will be just looking for something that he knew that she won't find in the books. So it will be like, okay, at least she's going to feel that she's doing something.
I don't think he knew that she'd be doing that, because he told her to stay away from the archives. And also I feel like he maybe he thinks that she's just going to be working on her shields because that's what she needs to do. But that's not.
No, but precisely
an
because
oversight.
He knows her. He knew already that she will go in the archives. So
possibly.
Not go there. It's like, go.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Okay, that is it.
Okay.
Because that was a long time on chapter 9. Still got 3 to do.
Okay, chapter 10.
Yes. It's not unheard of that a candidate enters the Riders' Quadrant having been paid to assassinate a cadet. I'm sorry Mira was targeted, but proud to say she dispatched the threat quickly. You have enemies, General. Official notice from Commandant Panchek to General Sorengale. Who was it that sent the assassin for Mira? Shall we go through the suspects?
Do you have one already on mind?
Daddy Atos, I don't see a reason unless he knows more about the family secrets.
No, I don't think there was Colonel Atos. I don't see.
He's the one that's sending assassins, though.
Yeah, but it's because now he knows that Violet, it was really involved with Satan. And
I think it's something to do with General Sorrengail and Daddy Sorrengail. I think that they're trying to get at them. Another suspect, just generally the Venin. Do they know of a prophecy where the daughter of the general would be a weapon to vanquish them? And they went for Mira because she was the rider. Harry Potter vibes again, where it's like, there's a prophecy and the one who has the power to vanquish the Venin will be born to blah, 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 blah. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, another crazy idea as well, because she is a general and she was the one basically responsible to execute all the rebellions or all the people who was following Fen Ryerson. One of those ones, the survivors or the family or the people who were executed want to show her like how does it feel.
What it's like to lose a family member. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's a bit odd, that's all, that we see that Mira was... it's not put there by accident. And I have a suspicion that the same person that sent the assassins for Violet also sent them for Mira.
Well, we know that's Colonel Atos, the one who is trying to kill not just Violet, everyone who was in reason. And there's a reason for that.
I don't know why it would be put there if it wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know if in the end something else comes that Mira has her own enemies and you're going to join at some point, or it's just this to explain when somebody's trying to kill Violet.
The assassin has red-rimmed eyes, so he's definitely an initiate. This, for me, is more conclusive evidence that Dane is doing something sus with Venin. He's a Venin, isn't he, that kid?
Yes. Before she said something about the eyes, what it called my attention was the guy, because they said that, the guy is like well built. She threw that dagger into the forearm and then she just take it out like nothing. Then she used momentum to slide and clean the tendons along his knee. Yeah.
You won't be surprised that I skipped over that bit because gross.
And she said he felt like a fucking tree, but he flicked himself into his back and I think she said if impervious to pain. So I was like, okay, this guy is basically not feeling pain at all. And other thing that she says that for the size of the guy, he moves really quick. She thought that he was in a kind of drug.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not drug, it's venin in the blood.
Yeah. This is the like drug dealer analogy.
We had this guy, we had Jack Barlow as well, but I'm sure that Jack Barlow, he didn't want to Vasgaya as a venin. He turned into a venin after threshing. Yeah, because that's something that he explained later on when he took the decision.
When he saw that Tan had bonded Violet.
Yeah, so I think he's a bad guy, but I don't think he was like a mercenary or assassin that has to kill Violet or Rangel. I think he was just a bully. That he was just trying to kill everyone that he could kill easily. Yeah, Jack Barlow. I'm talking about Jack Barlow.
No, I think he went in as an assassin. I do. Because the way he entered the parapet and he was so desperate to kill Violet.
No, he wasn't that desperate. He killed somebody else before, like for fun, because the guy is a psycho. That is a fact.
Yeah.
And then he sees Violet, she's like so little, so fragile. Jack Barlow's eyes, for him, is just a cat chasing a mouse.
No, I think he knows more. He was obsessed with the feather tails. I think there's something more about Jack.
That's another reason why I think that he wasn't targeting Violet, because why in threshing when he can kill Violet no problem, like he can just hunt her, kill her in front of Satan or anyone, nobody can do anything. he was chasing the feathertail.
I think it's a sign. Yeah, but I think that's the thing. It's a sign that I feel like he knows that there's a connection. I think more people know there's a connection between Violet and Anna.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to it, but I've got some thoughts about Violet and Anna and Jack.
Yes.
I'm being a bit mean today. I'm just saying I've got thoughts, but I haven't fully. One of my favourite things is when Emiterio asks, "May I touch you?" after Violet shouted, "Don't touch me," at Day. And he's like, "May I touch you?" And she says that.
Over there, I say that very loud.
Yeah. I think that's really funny. And very respectful of Emiterio. Yay for Emiterio. He's one of my favourites, actually.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that Violet doesn't even trust Riddick at this point because he holds out his arm and she doesn't take it.
Yeah.
So she's not even letting Riddick in, and it just shows. Sloane wasn't trained.
That's something that is so clear once she was fighting against Auric, that she had no clue about how to fight. But I think the reason of that is Satan, because I think he's not supposed to be a rider with a dragon, and when he turned into a rider, then all the training for all the Mark ones stop, and I think she never make it to.
Because so there's two ways of looking at it, isn't it? Do you think they stopped training them because they didn't want another marked one to become so high ranking?
Yes.
Or did they stop training them because they thought Xaden had got to the top, so they would just be fine? Depends what side they're on, doesn't it? And I genuinely believe the people that adopted them, some of them, are on the side of the rebellion, especially Duke Lindell. I think Duke Lindell will come back.
I really hope that we have something about him on Onyx Stone, because if I say then it's gonna be, I don't know if it's gonna be lost as a Venin, or if it's going to get involved with the Venin in some time. Maybe they need somebody who knows Satan very well to know how he thinks or how he feels.
And I feel like there was a closeness there within that adopted family, because in the letter to Violet in these chapters, Xaden says about Bodhi, after Liam, he was the closest thing I had to a brother. And it's after Liam. Whereas Bodhi was his cousin, and they lived in Turandot, so you'd have thought that would be he would be the closest. But after Liam, because Liam was fostered with him. And that wasn't that long ago. It was 6 years ago. And 3 of those years, Xaden was in the Rider Squadron.
Yes.
So for 3 years, he got really close to Liam. And that shows that maybe that family was close. Or it wasn't, and they had to look after each other. We just don't know. I think it's interesting thinking about what the motivation of the adopting parents were, what their motivation was to train them or to not train them.
I really like the theory about Duke Linder was Fenrir's backup. If something goes wrong, he will be the one who will be look after Satan, make sure that he will survive and he will go through all of that once he's not there anymore. And because he's been like such an important part of Satan's life, I think he should come back in a book. Hopefully we're going to be Onyx Stone. I see it for me, like building everything around Satan and all the secrecy and all the stuff that's going on. That would be like a good opportunity for him to appear.
Yeah, Oryx's obviously been trained well.
Of course, he's a prince, so he needs to make sure that he get like the best training, and more since his big brother died. Probably the king will be more strict with him to learn how to defend himself.
You find that in fantasy books, don't you? Or fantasy stories, that the princes and the kings are like fighting and they're trained, but in the real world they just get the best bodyguards. So
yes.
An hour later, Are you ready to leave the mat?
Just one thought I had to say about it, because in just 1 year, Violet passed from being completely defeated by Imogen, when she just look at the shoulder and snap the arm to kill a guy that was way bigger than her, stronger than her, because we're talking about, he was a venom. So it wasn't a full human. She has some superpower, and she managed to kill him, and with no mercy. Because remember, at the beginning, that she was just always trying not to kill the person, always targeting the legs or the shoulders. That just showed like how much she had grown in just 1 year.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there's several things like that we see in this where you come full circle, like when she's at the top of the parapet and she's giving the advice to Sloane, like that we talked about last week from Mirror. It just shows how quickly she's growing and changing as a person.
Yes.
So an hour later, she's got through physics with the blood of the assassin on her skin. Gross. Surely she could be excused to get a shower. What is that about? Gross. Why can't she just go get a shower? She's still got the blood of the assassin all over her.
She's kind of like coming to this new personality that she's kind of like roughly that she won't stop to anybody, and she can kill somebody
She's
and just
around covered in blood.
Yeah, you just keep going. But if Emeterio was the one who said, "Remember that you've been strangled, so just don't be too hard with
She's like,
yourself."
I'm not leaving.
Yeah, or just you're smelly. Go.
Yeah, you stink. Go wash
with that
yourself.
blood in yourself.
Ugh.
Something.
Yeah.
That would be like perfectly accepted. Like, I'm living because I'm covered in the blood.
Most people would just be like, ew. But maybe not, because it's probably really normal that people are walking around covered in blood. So Xaden is back. Yay.
Yes, Xaden is waiting for her. And obviously he didn't like it. Found out that she nearly died. Because it was this miscommunication, or this where they communicate from the distance. Taryn sharing the field with Sagel, and Sagel sharing where she can get from Taryn, and then Xaden just say, "Okay, I'm leaving now."
You can't blame him for this. He's upset that someone's tried to kill her. I mean, you can make parallels with Dane in that they just care about her, but Xaden didn't try and stop her from being a rider because of it. But he does get a bit protective this time. What I thought was really interesting is they're talking when he's back about the prejudice that he and Garrick are facing at Samara. And they talk about judging someone on their second name. She says that he has it worse than her. So he says, you know how it feels being judged by your second name, obviously being a Soaring girl. And then she says, you have it worse. So the Ryerson name is worse. And then he responds with only within the borders. So just wanted to look outside the borders. And obviously his dad was... So inside the Navarian borders, his name is Mud.
Yeah.
Outside the borders, though, we've got Poromil and Croveler and Breivik, the three provinces of Poromil. Yeah? Obviously, Xaden's dad was in favour with Poromil. Where's Mum? So where else is he in favour? And the two options for me are the Isle Kingdoms, because they have potentially allies in the Isle Kingdoms. They originally were the allies when they were fighting the Venom 600 years ago.
Yes.
But also the Barons. Maybe his name isn't Mud in the Barons. Maybe his mum is a Venom. I don't like that idea, because it basically seems like everyone's a Venom. I don't want her to be a Venom, but she might be. I feel like it's interesting that maybe that line is in there to make you think it's just about Poromil. But I think his name, he has a good reputation potentially in the Barrens? Is that why they're waiting for him?
Mm-hmm.
What about his granddad that never made it through the Riders quadrant? I've said it loads of times. I'm just throwing lots of questions out. I've got no theories today. I've just got questions. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. I think it's normal because Fenrir, he was basically a martyr as well for all the people out of the borders. He trying to do the right thing, and then he died because of that. And the son, he's still in the fight. He's still helping the revolution. Okay, so they still talking. They're talking about the Lian's sister. She hates Violet. Satan said, "No, she can't hate you because nobody can hate you." And she went, "No, trust me, she hates me." And then Satan was like, "No, trust me. That I tried to hate you before and I just couldn't do it."
Did he really try, though? Did he really try and hate her?
I think maybe when you see the Satan's point of view, he was trying to defend himself against a girl when she was like teasing her about how he was feeling about her. He was like, no, it's not that, it's not that.
Yeah, but he had a deal with her mum to keep her protected. How can you really hate the person that you got to keep alive? Also, he was friends with Brennan. So he doesn't hate all Soaring Girls.
No, I think maybe he was talking just that he was trying to hate her when he started to feel that he was falling for her.
Ah, because he was,
So he like trying to deny it.
Yeah,
He didn't want to
that makes
fall.
sense. Yeah.
Talking about a little bit everything. It's when he said he's one of his famous sentences in this book. Because obviously Violet is different. And then it's when he said the first year is when some of us lost our lives, the second year is when the rest of us lost our humanity. The thing is, it's pretty much
Wise old Xaden. They talk about the reason that so many die at Basgarth and talk about how it's desensitizing them to death, but it's definitely more than that. They're trying to stop them from becoming venom if they fail. And we talked about this last week. Then Xaden wrote her a letter.
Yes. He has to leave, and then he gave her a letter. And then when she see he wrote a letter for her, she smiles. So I think it's another side of Satan that you start to see here in this book, because it's always like Satan, the warrior, the big fighter, the guy who is ruthless, doesn't care about anybody, and then here he's just
Writing
trying
love
to show.
letters.
Well, it's not a love letter. It's just more personal. It's talking about his experience,
I
everything
think
in
that's
his
still a
life.
love letter.
Well,
It is to Violet because she wants the truth, doesn't she? And she's getting that. So it's kind of Violet's love language that he's speaking.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally made for love because he cares about her, and that's why he's doing it, like showing that she's special, and he has no qualms about telling her everything that she wants to know, and he can tell.
Yeah.
Because that's the difference. There's stuff that he can't tell, but the other stuff, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so chapter 11.
Chapter 11. And we
Okay.
get straight into it with
Epigraph.
one of these letters. Garrick has always been my best friend. His father was my father's aide, which in a way makes him my Dane, except trustworthy. After Liam, Bodhi was and still is the closest thing I have to a brother, perpetually tagging along a step behind. Recovered correspondence. A lot of people think the reason they're recovered is because Violet wasn't able to give them to Jacinia. So if you think about the way that she's writing this book, it's recovered correspondence. So it's written from the future. So why didn't Violet just keep these letters and give them to Jacinia? Was the room blown up? Was what happened?
So far, the only thing that we know is that Jacinia, by the end of everything, is the only one that's still alive, for sure. The rest of the people, we don't know what happened to them. Probably all of them die, or...
But it feels like the fact that it's recovered correspondence, that means it was recovered by someone else?
Yeah, could be.
Why? There's a lot of information in that word.
That's the information that you get from the epigraph. For me, the information that I got was about Bodhi. Because I think from this epigraph, say that really clear, the body is always the one that's getting behind.
Yeah, this is the sentence that has all the fourth wing and iron flame fans suspicious of Bodhi, including you.
Yes, definitely.
I get it. I do get it. I just... as long as it's not Garrick. Garrick's my favourite.
I think from the Satan point of view, when Gary was talking to him, they actually had really good relationship between two guys. They can talk like clearly, no secrets, nothing.
What does Garrick
no
think
filters.
of Bodhi? What does Garrick think of Bodhi? That's what I want to know.
Yes. Anything else to declare about this epigraph?
I don't know who Garrick's father was. Maybe I don't think we'll. I probably won't learn anything more about him. But no, we already spoke about it. Like, it's after Liam, which is suspicious to me. I guess the closest thing I have to a brother, I've said this before, that they could actually be brothers. But we don't know. And I can't, for the life of me, work out what that family tree looks like. But, yeah, I do think there's been a few mentions. He looks like they could be brothers, like, are they actually brothers and they just don't know it? I like, there's a bit, so if we start with the chapter, Imogen says we're not friends. We are co-conspirators with a vested interest in keeping each other alive. I quite like that. I think she's clearly her friend. She's just playing hard to get.
Yes. It's, again, like Satan trying to hate Violet. They're like trying to deny what is obvious. But she make it even more funny.
Yeah. I really like Imogen.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
I think she's a really good character.
Yeah. And then she says she's really suspicious of Jacinia. So Jacinia turns up in the Rider's Quadrant, and Imogen is really suspicious of her. And she said, I don't know, I wouldn't even know how to kill Violet. And Imogen says Violet knew how to kill just fine on a scribe's education. But she didn't just have a scribe's education, did she? She had also some time training to be a rider, but still, I don't think she did know how to kill. I think that's something she's learned in the Rider's Quadrant. That's not something she'd have known as a scribe.
No. I think the weird thing about Violet is that she's supposed to be a scribe. Then she was training 6 months to be a rider, but she was really good at throwing daggers. I don't think there would be another like scribe with that talent.
Yeah, but you can just be good at something, can't you?
She would be able to kill easily, but the thing is that she never tried. So she could, but she never did.
Maybe.
And I think she was doing an even hard thing, because with a dagger you can throw it to the chest. There's a big area you won't fail. But she was throwing over like the legs or the arms or something that's so difficult.
More a target. And you think that maybe it could be the fact that she's a legacy, that these things do, like you do have a natural ability, don't you? Some people for sports and stuff.
Yes.
Maybe that's what it is. But also, she's terrible at physics, so you can't even say that she's like calculating the trajectory and the, I don't know. It's weird for me that she's not good at physics. Yeah. But anyway, I don't really get it.
Yeah, but you know something weird for me when Imogen was like so suspicious about Yesenia, because for me was like, what is the reason? It's just because she's a scribe, or maybe there's something about Yesenia that maybe Imogen wipe and Yesenia don't remember, but she knows about something that she did or something about her that she doesn't like and doesn't trust her.
Or she wiped Violet's memory of that. Maybe. You never know. Like, I'd love... we need to do a deep dive on Imogen. In the episodes just before Onyx Storm comes out, we should do some, like, real character deep dives and try and work out what their character arcs are going to be. But Imogen for me is super interesting, especially with the memory wiping. What has she done? And we just don't know.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make it in the books unless somebody else says it. Violet doesn't really know what she can say and what she can't say with Jacinia, but she says, my gut tells me I can trust her. And that again makes me feel like it's something to do with her body. Her body is responding to trust.
True.
Yeah, to truth.
This is true.
Yes. And we know that Andana isn't channeling yet, but it's just, again, that like deep need to know who
the
to
core.
trust. Yeah. So Jacinia gives her the book called The Gift of the First Six.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking about this book, The Gift of the First Six.
Yes.
Is the gift about the wards? Are they saying the ward is the gift from the first six? And it just makes me think about what the signets are of the first six riders.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling that Lyra might be a truthsayer because she writes the truth in her book, and it makes her fall out with Warwick, and she can't cope with not sharing the information. So we don't have many clues about the first six, and I absolutely think that we will find out more about them. Possibly only a little bit in our next storm, and it might come later, because you've got to remember we've got 3 books left, which is amazing. But I feel like there's something there that's maybe linking Violet with Lyra. Will we find out the others' signets?
Important thing is not just about the signets or the six rider, because in the end, what made the world's works were the dragons, not the riders.
I'm just interested. Just want to know who's up.
Definitely. I would like to know a little bit more about all of this, because I generally think there's going to be a lot of stuff from the past. It will come now that will change everything that we know.
Maybe like an ancient king who lived 1,000 years before Navarre even existed.
Yeah, that come to my nose as well.
This is weird.
Yeah, it's like too random to just put it there. So I was wondering, this king, who is gonna be, or what is going to happen? What is their relationship with everything?
And why is it in a book? Because they do keep history beyond the 400 to 600 years that Violet says. We don't have anything older than 400 years in there. But they do keep the history before that. But it's from a book that was only written about 25 years ago. Yeah. So where's the original? And who is that ancient king? Is it anything to do with the gods? Is it just a Lucerish thing? It's not there on purpose. It's not there by accident, is it? This is so weird.
No, that's what I mean. It's something that will come out later. We give an explanation. I don't know if it's going to be an explanation about this prophecy, or maybe the venom, or the magic of the dragons, but it will come at some point.
I just couldn't make any kind of connection to an ancient king, unless again, it's a descendant.
Yeah, they who lived thousands of years before Navarre exists. So, how is it's possible they have like something reference about a king? They did
and it's in Old Lucerish, unless it's a fable. And actually, what they're showing is that not all fables have been banned; only the ones about the venom.
Yeah,
but no, it's more that that is so weird. It wouldn't be there if it wasn't important. But Violet and Dane used Old Lucerish to pass secret messages to each other as kids. And I wonder why Dane was taught Old Lucerish. Maybe that's it. And he speaks other languages as well, doesn't he? Why was he taught different languages?
Maybe it's something about the status of the family. If you have like a really high rank, then you'll do other stuff that normally other people won't do.
Yeah. Or maybe his dad was from Lucerus, or his mum. We don't know anything about his mum. So maybe there's like a family heritage there that you're like, oh, sorry, got a shiver. But that must be true. Second year from Third Wing who gets murdered because he asked for some information about something, and Jacinio recorded it, and he's obviously asking about we find out later, don't we, that he's asking about a battle that happened that shouldn't have happened. Who is he? Does it matter? I tend to think it doesn't matter who he is. I think it's just an example of what happens when you push for redacted information, but just a question.
Another question.
Yeah.
They go to the fly field, and Varys catch Violet, and what she thinks, the mayor must be inhuman because there's not a dot of sweat on his high forehead.
Yeah.
That could be maybe the first reference that Varys is a Venom.
Yeah. So I am in the camp where he was, but if you like, I think I've got a theory about everyone being Venom at some point. But a lot of people, like, I've written here Umbridge vibes, Umbridge vibes, Umbridge vibes. One, someone's read Violet's letter, and we get that, don't we? Mm-hmm. Umbridge was opening all Harry's letters in Harry Potter, and yeah, it feels like it was definitely Varys. And there's something that some people quote from Harry Potter about Varys, and they say he reminds them of Umbridge in that not all bad people are Death Eaters, but all Death Eaters are bad people. So, not all bad people are Venom.
But the Venom are bad people.
Well, yeah. No, he doesn't even say that, does he? Sirius Black says the world is not split into good people and Death Eaters. So, he doesn't say that all Death Eaters are bad, but they are.
Yeah.
He just says the world is not split into good people and Death Eaters. And people quote that when it comes to Varys and say that he's just a bad person. I don't tend to think so. I think Varys turned Venom. If not at the start, I think he could be another one that was seeing what Jack could do, but also was not happy that Ten made him bow down on his knees and say sorry to Violet. So I think the fact that his dragon wasn't strong enough in that situation made him need more power because he couldn't cope with the fact he was embarrassed, he was humiliated. That's what turned him Venom. So I'm not sure at this point whether he is Venom, but I certainly think that is sus. The fact that he might not be human, it does seem, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A bit like foreshadowing.
Yeah, that's something to have at least in consideration, because there's no confirmation either that he actually was a Venom. It was just, okay, everyone put all the pieces together and okay, so it's likely that he was, but to this point, we have just theories.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that we have. But other thing in this scene, they caught my attention as well, is when they're talking about Andarna, and then Varys is the one who says, is it ironic, don't you think, that your father was writing a book of feather tales and that you end up bonding to one? And then Violet is the one who said that what you meant is coincidental. Her stomach turns, is it? And then Tern is the one who said, I know nothing of your father's research, Tern promised, but Andarna has gone silent.
Yeah, she knows.
A lot of things that you can catch from here. The first, why even after this she's still not getting the bloody research from the feather tales. And second, it seems that it doesn't matter what was Violet destination, scribers or writers. It seems that she be destined to Andarna. And the thing that I'm thinking is that destiny or Daddy Sorangel did something to make that happen? And what was the thing that he did to make sure that, or not even to make sure, to make that happen to Andarna to hatch and then go find Violet?
There's an amazing theory, and I wish I could credit the person, but I will. I'll find it and we'll add it to notes. There's an amazing theory that Daddy Sorangale found the cure for the venom and had to give it to Lilith Sorrengail while she was pregnant, and it involved using the blood of a feather tail. And so you use the blood of a feather tail, and it essentially turned Violet into this half dragon, half human. She's got dragon blood, and that's why she can communicate with other dragons, and that's why Ten says, I know exactly who and what you are. He doesn't just say, I know exactly who you are. He knows exactly who and what you are. And also why Andana says we're the same. There's a few instances where she says that she's the same. It's an amazing theory, and we will tag the person who came up with it because it's just insane. The weird thing about this statement for me was, your father was writing a book on feather tails, dragons which hadn't been seen in hundreds of years, and then you ended up bonding to one. The fact that doesn't make sense to me, because people have seen feather tails. They're just very rare. You don't see them. They don't bond with people. They're very rare. They stay hidden. But people do see them. It's not that they haven't been seen in hundreds of years. The ones that haven't been seen in hundreds of years are the ones from the seventh den. So does he know more about them? Does he know that she's more than just a feather tail, more than just a baby dragon? Because he says dragons which haven't been seen in hundreds of years. And I'm sure people have seen feather tails. They're just not seen very often. And because nobody's like, oh my God, it's a feather tail.
Yeah,
Garrick is like, yeah, fine.
I think in one of the Professor Kaori classes, they were talking about feather tails, and he was the ones that they're really rare to see them. But it's not something that, like a unicorn or something that you would see like, oh my God, what's that? It's rare, but even Jack Barlow, he knew all the stuff about feather tails.
Exactly.
So
that's the bit that's suspicious in that for me. I think he knows that she's part of a seventh den, and that's why he's so obsessed with finding her.
But why? What's the point? Why he wants to find the
super rare, like the only one, maybe linked to the Barons and all part of the bit. Because, I'm convinced that the seventh den was in the Barons. She's talking to Varish. I love her sass that she's got. Quite the necklace you have there. Thank you. It was expensive. Cost someone their life. I think that's a really good line.
Yeah.
He gets really annoying and says she was nearly done in by her first year. Like, how embarrassing. Can't believe. But then you're really fragile or frail or whatever he says. What an arsehole. Like, I know that they're not in school. I know that they're, like, older. They're 21.
Army.
Yeah, they're in the army. But, like, bosses shouldn't be saying stuff like that to their... Oh, it's just really annoying. And then he talks about, always has a temper, this one, about Tern's reminder that he threatened to digest him alive. It links back to Solas's eye. And I've said this before, but I'm so desperate to know why did Tern take out Solas's eye?
Yeah.
And I just can't shake the fact that it might be something to do with Naelin. Perhaps Varish was treating Naelin badly in another situation, and he took out Solas's eye. Don't know. Something.
And this chapter, this is now the only encounter that she's going to have Barish as well. But before that, she's with Bodhi, and then we start to see a little bit more about Bodhi, a little bit of information, and when he started to basically confirm to Violet that she's not the only target, was having a bath, and then somebody tried to kill him, and not just him, then Imogen as well at some point. So obviously they're hunting them, and just when they're talking about it is when Barish appears again with two riders. They're looking for something and buy sacks and find nothing. And then she said, well, that she's happy that she left the book about the first six. The only thing that she had learned so far, that the first six weren't the first riders, which I found interesting, because I always thought they call them the
what
first
about
six.
this ancient king 1,000 years ago? He could have been a rider, couldn't he?
Yeah. So that's why I was so surprised, because for me, when I was reading at the beginning about the first six, I thought they were like the first six riders ever. They were the first time the dragons and humans come together.
Well, that's what you would presume, considering they're called the first
the
six.
first six, but no.
Yeah.
Maybe we're the first
Just
six
the
to create
first
the
to
worlds.
survive. But what does that mean?
Well, it has to be related to the venom. They were like the first six to join force to eradicate all the venom,
Yeah.
which is still not confirmed if they actually eradicate all the venom. Because there's one that's still hundreds of years flying around.
Yeah, I've got some stuff to say about this. But I also wanted to just go back, to the flight field when they're supposed to be learning the running landing. And Ten calls Kaori the Dragon Watcher. So that for me feels a bit negative, like perhaps they don't like the fact that he's trying to learn so much. And I wonder what Kaori's dragon thinks about that. They call him the Dragon Watcher, don't they?
Yeah.
Which is, it feels negative. It feels like they're suspicious of him. He's the Dragon Watcher. He's the one that's going to reveal all our secrets. He's the one that's going to leave his notebook lying around, which contains all the flaws and weaknesses of every single dragon.
Something really useful for the enemy, yes.
Yeah. I just find it odd, the Dragon Watcher. It feels ominous.
Yeah.
And I wonder how, Kaori's dragon. Does he tell him secrets or not? Is he constantly asking him, tell me about this. What does the Empyrean do? What's a feather tail? How do you choose your tails? Blah, 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 blah. Right, so that's all I wanted to say on that. Apart from, lol, that Violet hopes the Dane falls off before his running landing. So they're walking out with, she's walking out with Bodhi. There's a few things, like tell him it's raw. So they've not been able to get into the forge because Basgayev have been producing loads of weapons. And I think that's because of this battle that De Vera had been talking about in Battle Breeze. So they're seeing increased venom activity, so they're creating loads of weapons themselves. Or have Poromil managed to steal some, so they're having to replenish the stocks. Anyway, he says, tell him it's raw. I don't know what that means. I wonder if it means that they haven't so they're smuggling out these weapons, but she's got to tell him that they're raw.
Yeah.
Am I missing something? But I feel like that's not an obvious description of what they are. I wonder if perhaps they're there, but they've not been runed yet, and Zeta needs to put runes in them.
Yeah, kind of. That's the feeling that I got. There's just the end up being ruined, so it's like half done. So, and he says, tell to say that he will understand it.
Yeah. So. They must have been made with the luminary. They must have been, because raw to me means undercooked. And you think, does that mean they haven't been through the...
Yeah, not being prepared or
through
still...
the luminary. Yeah. But it must have been, because you wouldn't have been able to melt the alloy if you didn't have the luminary. Because that's what it's there for. It's to intensify the heat so much that it can melt a dragon egg. Because I don't think dragon fire could melt an egg. That would be a little bit bad.
Yeah.
Then there's a bit of the conversation, and this does my head in. Xaden was supposed to be teaching you last visit about the shields. He's like, just focus on your shields. Xaden was supposed to be teaching you last visit, but then, ... Violet, the interrupting sheep, cuts him off and says, then I was strangled. What was he going to say? He might have wanted to say something totally different. And then Bodhi lets slip about Catriona. Tell me, because you are the person that is the most suspicious of Bodhi, does this mean he is prone to leaking information?
I mean, this can be get from two angles. There may be the reason that Satan doesn't trust him is just because maybe he knows that he will leak information really easily, or stuff that he thinks that's not important because it's not thinking how it's going to react whatever information that he's saying. Or again, just to reinforce my theory about Bodhi being like the master,
Planting
of the puppets
information.
in the background. Yes, just playing with Violet. So, because I think by this point, Bodhi knows that Satan and Violet, they're not together. It's because Violet doesn't want to be with him. So maybe he just, because he doesn't like maybe Satan be happy. There's people that they're jealous. And more if you are like behind somebody, you just maybe like, wish that this person can be happy or all the stuff that is wishing.
Bodhi is like a nice guy. He's very powerful. He's got a dragon. He's got a face like Zayden's. Like, how is he? How is he not?
Not exactly like Zayden. That's the problem.
A softer version.
Yeah, there's kind of like
but
the bad copy of Zayden.
I'm pretty sure that there's someone out there for him to love him.
Yeah, the
It's
bad
like a
copy of Violet.
A budget Zayden.
But it's not that I had anything against Bodhi. It's just that all the stuff that we're getting is like pointing out these guys could be something to have in consideration for the future.
Yeah. Ten again, like, threatens to eat him. Eat Varish. What would actually happen?
If nothing happened to Varish or to his dragon, once the dragon killed so many cadets just for fun, why would care the turn?
Wouldn't there be some like ranking situation where you killed a ranking officer, which would be like should be punishable?
I think he will go against the Imperium because Baskin can't tell anything to turn. He can't eat everyone who's going to say anything to him about it.
Coda might be like
is the only one who, yes. But I don't know if what kind of punishment we'll get, because he won't get killed because dragons don't kill dragons. They're like
he could kill Violet.
Yeah, you kill Solid Riders, or I kill yours or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that will maybe kill Tam.
Exactly. You know when he said, I chose you as my last? I think he knows he's got to die for her.
Yeah. I think it could be the bond as well, because Satan said Tam's bond, they're so strong that every time it gets stronger.
I don't think it means that. I think that it means that he's going to sacrifice his life to save Violet. He's going to like fly in front of her in a real dramatic show of protection, and then he's going to die, and then Violet will be still dead, tethered to life. I'm sorry, don't have any non-morbid theories about it's not going to happen till the end though. We've got 3 more books. She can't kill Ten off like in the next book.
No, but as you probably saw in my last reels, that I was saying that in this book we might see the death of another dragon, not Ten. Could be Sagel.
I know. Oh, she said the last chapter is the worst thing. I don't know. I don't think it would happen in the middle book. Surely not.
Yeah, maybe it's gonna be like something happens, Sagel die. That's the end of the book, and then you're like, what happened to Ten? What happened to Satan? What happened to Violet? You have to wait now.
Just end of 2026, maybe.
Yeah,
she's having
maybe
a
that's
big
why
break.
she's saying that you're going to hate me by the end of the book.
Yeah.
Because you're going to draw something like that, and
you have to wait. The girl's my favourite. Anyway, Nora really interests me. The Truth Sayer. She really interests me. I feel like we're getting a hint of like a type of truth sayer, but I think Nora is just a human lie detector. I don't think she can actually make people tell the truth. I don't think she can actually make people tell the truth. I think she needs Varish or someone like Varish to inflict pain on someone, to threaten them. She can say, that's a lie. And then he'll say, tell me the truth. Get the thumb screws out, etc.
Okay. Chapter 12.
Yeah?
Chapter 12. She goes to Samara to visit Satan.
Wait.
epigraph, I guess.
Yeah, another recovered correspondence from Zayden Ryerson.
Yeah.
Sigale watched me kill another cadet for bullying Garrick during threshing. She says she chose me for my ruthlessness, but I think I reminded her of my grandfather. Did Sigale know that the person he was murdering was the king's son?
I think she knew. Because somebody that's from the royal family, they will be noticeable even for the dragons. So
Auric? Would Auric be?
definitely everyone knew who he was. I was exactly saying case of Eric.
Oh,
I don't
good
remember.
question. Yeah, I
because
think they probably did.
he went as a prince and then he started to bully Eric because Gary was kind of like the representation about
The Mark
against everything the royal family represents.
Yeah.
So he was just bullying him. I wonder what kind of bully he was, because Gary is described as a kind of like bigger than Satan, or even more built than Satan. And why Satan has to intervene? Oh, maybe Gary didn't want to kill him, so Satan didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Killing this fucker before he gets out right there and gets even more dangerous.
Yeah. And then I think I reminded her of my grandfather. There is so much to learn about this man, isn't there?
Yeah, so obviously the grandfather was ruthless as well. How he died. Why he didn't graduate.
Did he die?
I don't think he turned into Venom because now it's getting ridiculous. Everyone is a Venom.
Yeah, and if he did, like, why would Sigale bond with
choose-
Zayden?
exactly.
It doesn't. That theory doesn't make sense to me, but it might be. There's something about him, and the fact that he was put down as Zayden's uncle, great uncle. I think it's a royalty thing. I think he lied. I think it was kind of like Auric, but he didn't lie about his father. He lied about whether he was first in line to the throne or not. I think there was a kind of throne of Tyrandor type, not throne, but you know what I mean, because there isn't a crown, but like leader of Tyrandor. He was down as his brother. So there is something suspicious about the grandfather, and I'm sure we'll find out more. But I
want to find out more.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's a Venom, but
yeah, it's interesting. The Sigale says they chose him because it was ruthless, but I thought it was just because she knew everything Satan did for the marked ones, all the scar that he has in the back, all the sacrifice that he was doing. And maybe when she started to read his mind and started to think in his mind, he's just going to carry on with the rebellion, he's going to carry on fighting against the Venom and the Wyverns, then she chose him for that.
yeah.
Not just because he killed a prince like... nothing else.
I don't think it's that. So she arrives at Samara and she's checking in on her shields. She says, I see only a hint of light from the bonds coming from the doorways. I'm definitely getting better at this. It's really interesting, this bit, because she used to be such a natural at her shields. And Zayden was shocked the first time, like that night in the snow when they kissed. And all of a sudden, she's not now unnatural. She's not mastering it. She can't get them complete. I loved what Rebecca said in the interview. She's built her foundations upon has broken. And that, for me, shows that archives are not the place that they once were. I don't think she feels as grounded as she did in that moment in Fourth Wing, because the archives, that was her home. It was all true. It was what she believed. If it was written in a book, it was true. And that, I think this kind of shows there's like shaky foundations, and perhaps we're seeing her learn to rebuild her archive in the mind.
I think maybe that's gonna be the problem. she needs to find like a place where she feel at home and she feel happy, and now that place is only just through light. So maybe
She might need
what
to
she need-
rebuild her.
Oh, yeah, need to change the place for something else, and then maybe she will start again, be a natural with the children.
So it seems like Samara is a nightmare.
It looks like pure medieval. They have like a dungeon, and then it's just you need to fight if you wanna pass. There's something that it would be like a simple request or something like
Yeah,
an admin
have a
thing.
weekend
No, you have
off.
to fight.
Fight for it. And fight to keep it. There's a man in a cage. Are we just going to gloss over the fact that there's an infantryman in a cage?
It was so funny because the guy who is running this thing is the one who said Boris is just too much. And you had a guy in a cage, and you had your people fighting for just have a weekend off.
Yeah. She's also like really cold as she's walking in. So she says she wouldn't want to experience winter at this altitude or erasure, come to think of it. She goes to his room first.
Yes.
And there's a connecting door, and that's why did Rebecca Yarros feel the need to highlight the fact that there's a connecting door when nothing came of that? And he's not at Samara anymore. He's in. So we're not going to find out any more about that. But she said there's a connecting door to his bedroom.
I thought that we were talking about the bathroom chambers because she's not expecting to have a bath.
Oh, is that what that was?
I think so because when he said through the door there's like a bathroom
Because no one
chamber.
wants to share.
They were like, what? Even Mira has something like that. Why you have one? And he's like, well, when you're a Fenrir's sons, you have a lot of stuff.
Nobody
Because
wants to
nobody
feel
wants to share.
inadequate naked next to Satan. That's what it is. Obviously.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he's fighting then for the weekend pass. But Garrick's not there, so he must be out on patrol.
Yes. So, there's something that, I don't know if you as a woman thinking like, yeah, that's totally true. She said that she go to see what's going on, see the fight, and then she say that fighting. He doesn't have the t-shirt, and straight away she's like turn on when he's fighting. And she is already like, oh my God, he doesn't have a t-shirt.
Well, why not? Why wouldn't women be turned on by Satan Ryerson shirtless?
It's not that he's shirtless, it's the fact that he's fighting. He's in a fight.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. It
Shirtless,
depends
and
on...
then the only thing that comes is like, oh,
It
that's
depends.
what
Yeah, it depends on the person. Yeah, I don't know, it depends on the person. I don't find fighting attractive. I'm not into boxers. Or WWE, even fake fighting. The interesting thing...
Spoiler alert.
The interesting thing that I think is Violet says this fighting is detrimental to wing morale. What about Basgaiath? What about the fact that they have to
I mean, at least they're still alive.
Yeah,
By the end of the fight, okay, I didn't get the weekend off. Well, next time then.
Oh, I feel sorry for the guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't get it.
It's not like get the pass or
Yeah.
die.
And she's like, you want to see... She says, Violet says, this is brutal. And then the girl that... I can't remember her name. Cornelia?
Cornelia?
Cornella. Anyway, she says, you want to see brutal? Go and visit one of the coastal outposts with nothing to do but turn on each other.
It's exactly where Colonel Atos is, isn't it?
Yeah, he's turning them all into venom. They're turning on each other, they're turning venom. Facts. But it's so funny that she says, go and visit. If you want to see brutal, you haven't seen anything yet. Basgaiath is more brutal than any of these places.
People die in Baskai.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just like, although that nobody's hanging around in a cage, which I think is weird.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you put it, okay, what you want to do? Cross the parapet, go to the gauntlet, or stay in a cage? It's like,
I'd probably cross the parapet. Would be my...
really?
Yeah, because I guess the gauntlet. I would be absolutely awful at the gauntlet, but I would.
Yeah, but people die in the parapet and the gauntlet. In a cage, you just stay there. God
Yeah, but
knows
you
how
get a
long
chance
stay.
to be in the rider squadron, so the reward is
No,
good.
but I'm talking about brutal, like...
Yeah. Okay. There is the brig,
Mm-hmm.
which Violet talks about at Buzz Gaius, where if you break the rules, then you go in the brig. But I think the punishment is burnout anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. But Violet uses the bond for the first time since Resin, which shows that she's letting him back in. And then, picking up on the bit that you said about his body, she said it's not just his body, it's everything. Even the darkest parts of him, the parts I know are merciless, willing to annihilate anyone and everyone who stands between him and his goal. What is his goal now? He's a Venin. And who and what is he going to annihilate if they stand between him and his goal?
His goal from the core is Violet, because not even the revolution. He said it. If I put me to choose between the revolution and you, I would burn all the
I'd burn it.
revolution, all the stuff. I don't give a shit about it. I just want you. So he's doing everything for her. That's her goal. Keep her.
Yeah, that's why he
alive.
turned Venin, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the only reason. He wasn't
Is it still
looking for
because-
power. He was just, he knew that he will die because he wasn't much for the Venom. And he can feel that Violet was struggling with all the part that she
yeah.
was doing. So for him was the only option. But yeah, right after the fight, because even in this, you can see that Zaydan is not like a showing off. He showed it multiple times when he was a win leader that he's not wearing any badges or anything like that. And this fight, Violet can tell that he was just, I wouldn't say not playing with him. He was just like not showing all the strength that he has. Until she is the one who says, "Come on, stop playing and fight." And he was like, "Oh, always violence."
All right then. Yeah.
He's Fenrir's son. He doesn't want to come like, I'm better than anyone else here. He's just trying to like fly low, no gain too many enemies.
Head down.
Yeah, so he can keep going doing his own business.
Yeah. Can I ask a random question?
Sure.
They mention gold coins here. That's the first mention of any currency, I think, in the books.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think a rider gets paid? Do you think that they get danger money? Like, do you think it's the most well-paid job? Or do you think the promise of the potential power that you get by going into the rider squadron is enough of an incentive to get people in?
I think they pay very well, because I think one of the expectations is they're not going to last very long. So they can afford pay well, because rider life expectation is very short if they make it right through the end.
Kind of like a football player.
Yeah,
Like their careers are short.
as long they're in battle, they get paid well. But then when they retire or doing something like Kaori, then maybe they get a chunk of
Teacher salary, which is really underpaid.
Yes. So you're like, okay, you're not going to die, but the only risk that you had is just falling asleep in your classes. So you just pay you enough.
Well, Buzz guys could come under attack any time, as we see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just find it interesting that, because, like, is it the most well paid, or do people? I don't think people want to go and be a rider because of the salary, do they? They want to go and be a rider because you get a dragon.
Here in real life, like a Navy SEAL or one of these
Not gonna
top
pay much.
armies, they're not millionaires. They just, I think, had enough
They
to
might
keep
be. I
them
don't know. I
alive.
say they don't get paid much. I have no idea what the salary is. But like if you take the Prime Minister, for example, if you look at the salary of the Prime Minister, it's not very much, but they get a lot of other benefits.
Yeah, I think if you compare with somebody that's a CEO at a company, yeah, there's
It's not
massive
for the amount of
difference.
responsibility they have.
Yes.
But they do get paid for life, I believe. So, I don't know. Yeah, I wonder about Cornelia Saheli. Will she come back? Will she join the revolution? Does she matter? I don't know that she does, but
She was the one who had a fight with Mira. Mira has like
give her
a
a
good hook.
thumb-shaped scar on her neck. Yeah.
Apart of that, when the fight was finished, and then Satan goes to Violet, and then Violet, she's so turned on, and I think maybe this is the first, one of the first times that you start to see that Satan can feel what she's feeling or can see it, because when he gets closer, I think the thing he says is, what is going on in the beautiful head of yours?
Yeah.
And he knows exactly what's
Do
going
you
on.
think so? So I don't think he's reading her here. I think he's told the truth when he said, I haven't read your mind since like last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's desperate to know what's going on around her head because he's finding it really hard not to read her. He could read her, but I think he's like desperate to know what she's thinking, but he's in control. He's not going to do it. He doesn't want to think that he's read her constantly. He said he stopped doing it, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
It's because, like I say, she was just thinking like, what am I doing there? Why just kiss him because I really want him? And then he says that, and she's like, oh my god, I just want to kiss him. And then he just do it. It's like he's doing exactly what she wants.
Yeah, but he wants to as well, because they say like a moth to a damn flame. And he said, I'm more than willing to let you burn me. So she thinks she's the moth and he's the flame, and he thinks he's the moth and she's the flame. So they both just want each other so much.
Yeah.
He tastes like home. This is where I want to live, when nothing matters but the way he makes me feel. Sweet.
I don't know why she always was thinking the word that he was thinking was I want you, but then I think this is the first time that she figured out that no, what he's expecting is I love you.
I love Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, but Iron Flame is not as good as Fourth Wing. It's just a little bit. And the only reason that it's not is because, one, you have Xaden being a little bit Danish in places. Danish. Not the nationality. A bit like Dane.
Oops.
Nothing against the Danes, because
Yeah, we love that.
the ones I've met have all been great. Anyway, but Dane. Damp Dane, it's not. And then you get this miscommunication where she doesn't think he loves her. He can't love her because he doesn't trust her. Blah blah blah. She's going out. She's going out. That's a very British slang term. She's fallen in love with the leader of a revolution. Mm-hmm. She can't expect him to tell her stuff all the time. So there's a little bit of a miscommunication situation going on, like you said, but Violet is...
There's miscommunication, and the same time as well as Satan overprotecting her, because there's even a point when she said you're now like Dane.
Yeah, but you've got to... So the reason why it's only just a little bit less than Fourth Wing for me is those things, but we also have to put ourselves in the position of, like, it's quite clear she has some serious post-traumatic stress disorder. We get two really clear examples of post-traumatic stress with Violet. When she's walking into Samara, it feels like Aspine. So she's getting the trauma that is coming back to her. And then also when she's looking at the blade that Xaden has. She's looking at a blade and she gets like really stressed because, she's looking at the blade, the alloy hilted blade. It comes back to her and she gets some PTSD. So you don't know how you would act. One, she's had the rug pulled out of her from underneath her about that Venom exists. She doesn't trust Xaden. She's building that trust up slowly. So we have to get that. Xaden almost lost her. He had to sit next to her bedside for 3 days while she was recovering from the poison-tipped blade.
Mm-hmm.
So they both have some trauma. He's dealing with it by going a bit protective, and she's dealing dealing with it by kind of accusing him of not telling her the truth all the time. So they're not perfect. They're totally flawed. And I think the reason why this book is still so amazing, even with those like little annoying things, is that they're real. Those things are, you wouldn't just swim through it, would you? You wouldn't be happy afterwards. You wouldn't be perfectly content. You've dealt with all that horror.
At the end of the day, I think everything goes against Satan, because if from the beginning he will be more honest with Violet, things will be completely differently. And maybe that's the thing that Violet is always comes to the same. If you tell me all these secrets or all this stuff, things will be different. Like with Liam, maybe Liam will be alive if she knew the Vernon and Weber was a real thing, because all the knowledge that she had will be useful. And Satan didn't think about it. And he was just thinking about it once he was next to Violet, when he thought for one moment that he's going to lose her. So he was thinking, okay, I fucked up. There's a lot of things I could do differently. And if I had a chance to do things differently, I would. I'm going to protect and make sure that they're not going to go through all of this again.
But that's exactly what Dane said as well. Dane fucked up by trusting his dad and not Violet. I'm going to get some serious hate for this. But Dane isn't the only one that messes up. He says, I told you I'm not in this for the battle, I'm winning the damned war. And that for me is like maybe hopefully some foreshadowing that perhaps this different. I feel like it's different if you go Venom for love. While the effects might be the same, you may be able to control it a bit more. Don't know. Let's see.
That's what Jack Barlow said, that you can't just clear something that you need, like the hunger of power. But for Satan, it's not that he was hungry for power, he was more than survival mode. He was
but once you get a taste, then do you want more?
Yeah, I remember that when he was describing how he feel like all the power, they're not tired anymore. So obviously he feel like a superhuman. So maybe that feeling won't go away easily.
But it will run out eventually. I mean, draining it, aren't they?
Yeah, I guess it's just like the first rush power.
Yeah.
Like Brennan described it.
Yeah. So I read something the other day. I put a comment on Reddit about how somebody had said power was a metaphor, like turning venom was a metaphor for power, and I'd asked them to explain it. And they said basically that venom and a rider is the difference between an elected leader of a country and a dictator, where the elected leader is given the power by the dragon or the griffin, and you are chosen and you channel the power and you are kind of elected and you do with it what
has to be done. Yeah.
Whereas a dictator is someone who steals power and keeps it for their own gain. And that's the difference between the power that you get from the ground and the power that you get from the sky, is that it's stolen. And I thought it was a really good analogy between the dictator and the elected leader. I just liked it as an explanation. Anything else from chapter 12?
I think the last bit is that Satan starts to explain a little bit to Violet how things works with the alloy, and then just the end that she needs to practice with the shields, and then they're going to start practice, and Satan is going to enjoy trying to make the training harder for her.
I think the explanations of stuff as well are really interesting.
Yeah,
especially the Melgren's vision about the daggers. It's made me think about whether, because Jack said last year in Kaori's class, I'm not the one that thinks precognition is a thing. But if you think about Melgren's signet, we're learning a bit more about it in this book, and he doesn't just see the outcome of a battle, like win or lose. He sees what's involved in the battle as well. So Zayden's guess was that Melgren had a vision about a battle, and those daggers were what won it.
Yeah.
So his Melgren signet is pretty cool, isn't it? He can see the future when it pertains to a battle.
Yes, it's kind of like a fail learn from the outcome, because obviously he can see, and then he can see as well the keys that's gonna be involved to make the battle be winner or loser. So that's why everyone said that was the signet that is just perfect for a general
Yeah.
to see the outcome of the battles.
Yeah, warfare, the day that he manifested his signet was the day that
Yeah.
warfare changed for good. We learn a bit more about the luminary, which will come back later. Imbuing, and is basically where you leave power in stasis in an object. Not everyone can do it.
Yeah.
Is it something you can learn, do you think, or is it something that you just can do?
I think it has to be both.
Yeah.
You need to learn and then see if actually you can do it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then what she says at the end, what do you think came first, the wards or the ability to boost them? Or are they intertwined? And Xaden says, all classified. Like,
Yeah,
does
that's
he
weird.
know?
But like he didn't want to say, or he just doesn't know.
He doesn't know when it's classified, but why would the ability to boost the wards come first? You know, like, right, let's think of an example. A tin of baked beans or a tin of condensed milk, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like asking what came first, the tin or the tin opener. Surely the tin came first, because you don't have a reason to open the tin if you don't have a tin.
Yeah.
So the tin will be invented, and then the tin opener will be invented. Like, probably on the same day. But you'd still get it first, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's like the same with an engine or a car and the nitro, just to give it the boost. So
Yeah.
you need for the engine, it runs, you go into certain speed. They use the nitro to just go beyond that limitation.
Yeah, so why would the ability to boost the wards
It will
come
come
before
first.
the wards? I
Yeah.
can't get my head around that. Can someone explain?
Yeah, it's just weird because you need the walls first. How can you boost something that is not being created?
And then he says all classified, and I'm like, that's like, surely you can work that out. So there's definitely something I'm missing. That's the last thing I have, though.
Well, it's been quite a long episode today,
Yeah.
so I think that's more than enough.
Yeah. Yeah, there's lots to think about here. We're starting to learn a bit more about how the alloy works, how the forge is working, and obviously that's foreshadowing for going on later. Yeah, we'll move on to chapters 13 to 15.
16.
13 to 16. Why can't I count? It's so late. 13 to 16.
Yes.
Next week. Yeah.
Okay. So that's everything for today.
Yeah, thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy, the husband and wife podcast talking all things Iron Flame.
We really hope that you have enjoyed. Remember, we have social media where you can find us. You have all the funny stuff, theories. The best bits of the podcast is going to be there as well.
More snippets of us sitting on our sofa talking to each other about the Empyrean series.
Yes. Also, we had a website where you can find everything about us. Every single episode of Faithfully Fantasy is going to be there. We're still working on more stuff to come. So just remember, it's www.faithfullyfantasy.com.
See you next week.